I'm Tatiana Massa, and to my left, Matt Surreal. And to my right, I have the Reverend Ron Martin.
So
Okay.
we're gonna elaborate on what the power of three means to us and each other, right?
Yeah.
We're also going to be talking about mental health. We're going to be talking about topics that can also help other people just by watching. You know, the mind, body, spirit.
Good
Oh,
footy.
it's live!
Hi. Welcome to our premiere episode of the Tpot podcast. We're super honored to be here today at the Rainbow Wave Studios and on the land of the unceded territory of the Tpot and Tpot First Nations. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm Tatiana Massa, and to my left is Matt Surreal.
You're putting your hand in front of her while she's on air.
It's good. We're going with it. We're going with it.
It's natural. It's all natural. National
then-
Geographical.
Say hi, Matt.
Hi, everybody. I'm Surreal. Welcome.
Woo!
Nice to see you guys. We've been planning this for a long time, so it's really cool to see it all come together. Obviously, we're really working out the kinks, but but I'm really excited to do this with two of my best friends.
Same.
Oh,
Same.
yes.
Cheers.
Yes. And to my right, I have the Reverend Ron Martin. So, yeah, that's us.
That's
Say
us.
hi.
What's up?
Okay.
We here. We in this.
We're nervous. We're nervous. Cheers.
Okay.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
nervous. Cheers. We're drinking
Cheers, guys.
tea.
We're drinking some tea.
Drinking tea and
A
live.
little bit of tea.
So we're going to start today with what the Power of Three means to us, why we decided to choose Tpot or the Power of Three as our philosophy.
Yeah.
You want to start, Matt?
Sure, why not? 3 is a very powerful number, and I think that us coming together as 3 different perspectives on different things is going to be very cool because you're going to hear like the lighter side, the philosophical side, and then Tatiana's like spiritual energy is going to bring just that vibe. So it's going to be cool. And we're going to have jokes, we're going to have laughter, but we're also going to be talking about mental health. We're going to be talking about music, current events, and just basically, you know, the mind, body, spirit, and how we can create topics that can also help other people just by watching. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. We're thinking we're gonna address topics, and with each topic we'll address 3 different perspectives, like 3 realms of perspective. You know, like the trinity of perspectives, if you will. For example, like a Father, Son, Spirit, Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. The Son being like the hands-on in the moment perspective, what's going on, real-time body. The Father being the parental perspective, is this what's right for us to be doing, you know? How will this affect everybody? How will this affect yourself? You know, a parental standpoint perspective. And then the spirit perspective being kind of like the earth, the zoomed out neutral perspective, the God AI perspective. And our hopes are to address each topic with those 3 dimensions of sight, you know, and just elaborate and discuss those things from our personal experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of when I was asking my husband, I was nervous about the podcast. I was like, what are we going to talk about? And he's like, you guys just need to talk about what it is that you talk about long into the night when you're just bullshitting with each other. So it's really cool to have this opportunity to be able to share that with all of you. The Power of Three to me is mind, body, spirit for sure. Like you can't, everything is interconnected and you can't have one without the other. And if you don't have all in balance, then you're at sort of an imbalance. And I think sort of a main goal in life is to try to find the balance, you know, always striving for that. Not perfection, but balance. So
Like the 3-legged stool.
Yeah.
like the
that
three-legged-
works.
or the tripod, right?
Yeah,
The tripod.
Trifecta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there'll be lots of puns.
Yeah,
throughout
there is.
this.
Well, they say that 2 minds are better than 1, so 3's got to be betterer, right?
Betterer. That's a thing. Yeah. Yeah.
It is a thing.
Yeah.
Don't subdue your laughter. You're allowed to just.
Well, maybe it wasn't that funny, and I was just giving you a courtesy laugh.
So
He laughs are okay.
we're gonna elaborate on what the power of 3 means to us and each other, right?
Yeah, get into it.
So like recently, well, what I gather it means is like there's so much power in 3 because of our brains are like hardwired to recognize the pattern of 3 in different ways. Like there's ready, set, go, up, away. All the different like row your boat.
Inside,
ho,
outside,
ho, ho.
upside down.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, like high, higher, highest, mind, body, spirit. And
Beginning,
our
middle,
brain
end.
neurologically kind of recognizes that pattern naturally. So it has power within it. The 3 wise men, the 3 musketeers, 3 blind mice. You can go on and on forever, on and on and on forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's great power when 3 minds come together. And like you said, even just a 3-legged stool, as simple as that, you know what I mean? It stands strong.
Would you prefer to have a 4-legged stool, though? Or a 3-legged stool?
I think a
I think
four-legged.
a 3-legged.
Yeah, for some reason, it just feels more natural and comfortable to me.
Yeah.
I think 3-legged.
These
Yeah.
are
Because if one of those legs go, either way, one leg goes, you're going you're going down either way.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so the power of 3.
Let's start with the origin story, Tatiana.
Ooh.
Ladies first.
Okay. Origin story. I guess we're going way back. So I'm from Alberta originally. Grew up, only child, obviously. Single mom. But yeah, things, I had an interesting and independent childhood. And I definitely didn't follow the grain and sort of always had an entrepreneurial spirit. And I decided to move to the island, which is where my family is from, in my early 20s. And then I brought my husband with me. He wasn't my husband at the time, but he is now. I'll probably talk about him a lot because he's kind of a big deal to me. But
That's pretty cool.
yeah. So, and then we moved to Port Alberni, and there was a school, and I went to learn and become a holistic health practitioner. And then that's when that wellness and that mind, body, spirit, and mental health piece really sort of came in full power. And that was probably at least 15 years ago. And then I even actually opened up a company in Port Alberni called The Power of 3. So I guess my origin story also kind of segues into how we met or why we decided to do the podcast, because when I shared the name of my business with you guys, you were totally mind blown because you had already created a Tpot podcast startup. So
Right.
when we kind of put all those pieces together, it just felt very
Serendipitous almost.
yeah, and it was like, sweet, I'm the third. This
Yeah.
is what we've been waiting for.
It's
So,
meant to be.
at least that's what I told myself anyway. But
Well, the universe works in mysterious ways, right?
Yeah.
It brings people together that it's supposed to at the right time. And like you said, we did try and start this podcast before, but the timing just wasn't right. We were starting it with a friend, and he got sick, so he wasn't able to do it with us. So shout out to our homie, but we are now in the right place in the right time, and we're going to go forward with it. So my origin story is a little bit different. I was born in Comox at St. Joe's, and then moved all over the island, Duncan, Cobble Hill, Black Creek, and kind of grew up in a really shitty environment, but it kind of shaped who I am today, which is, I don't ever blame my experience or my upbringing for being bad, because if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't be where I am, and I wouldn't be creating the music and the content that I am, and having those characteristics and
such great
experiences to draw from. So yeah, kind of like grew up with a lot of alcohol and drugs in my family, but foster care, all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about that more as the podcast goes along, but I am now a hip hop artist. I kind of got into it a little bit late. but again, at the right time. You know, it was the timing. It was waiting for me to be, you know, ready enough to actually focus on it. And so now I create music that I hope speaks to people and makes people feel less alone with what they're going through. And I just talk about my experiences and some of the environments that I existed in, so that other people can be like, yo, I'm in that right now, or I have been in that. And if you can do it, then so can I. So that kind of like led into this career. I actually met Rev Ron from playing baseball. I was playing ball on I think it was a pickup team, wasn't it?
Yeah, a beer league pickup team.
Yeah, beer league pickup team. We met in the dugout, and I was like, he's like, so what do you do? I was like, I'm a rapper. He's like, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And then he said, I rap too, and I was like, yeah, sure.
Actually, I was playing center field, and you were subbing in for as a fielder, and I was like, I control the field, bro. And then you're like, move up, move up. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, telling me what to do. You know, I was like, I call the shots in the field. And you're just like really assertive and really part of the team, even though you're just a sub in. It's like, this guy is like outspoken. He's just like, you know. And then in the dugout we were talking. You're like, I make hip hop music. I was like, oh, I bet you do. And then no, it's true. I was super pessimistic and judgy. And then
I couldn't imagine you any other way.
And then I think that night you sent me your video for the Blue Satellite video, and I watched. I was like, this guy's fucking on his shit. Like he can rap. He's proactive. He's making music videos. Like, this is great. Like, it was kind of inspiring. I was like, I need to be around this guy, and we need to link up and do stuff together.
Yeah, and I mean, I said the same thing. As hip hop artists, we're always pretty critical. Like when someone else says they make hip hop, and I was like, yeah, this is some bullshit. Like, this guy doesn't rap.
Yeah.
And then you spat me some of your stuff, and I was like, yo, this is fire. Like, you should come to this cypher that we do every week. And he's like, what's that? And I was like, well, it's like, you know, cyphomatic. We go and rap around a stoop and like play beats, and we just all kind of sharpen our swords. And he's like, that sounds super interesting. And so I think that's really how we connected. It was not only through baseball, but like we both started going to the cypher a lot.
Yeah.
And just realizing that we both have some skills, you know what I mean? And so
both had a young family.
Yeah, we both had a young family. Like, our kids have grown up together. My son Benny and his son Solly were like best friends.
Yeah, like
growing
3
up.
years old or something like that.
3 years old, and now they're 16. So it's like, damn, they've been hanging out a long time. And so just like now we make a lot of music together. We feed off each other as best friends. We're obviously going to have our ups and downs and arguments and stuff, but we always find our common ground and intelligently communicate through that. So yeah, we're back, baby. We're in here. It's been great, and I just want to touch on meeting Tatiana as well. I met her at 5 Acre Shaker. She was doing all the backstage stuff, and I was an artist on the festival. And then just vibed instantly. Her and her husband are just absolutely incredible humans, and like instantly became really good friends. They come to a lot of my shows. They're like big fans, and I'm a big fan of them, to be honest. So
yeah, me too.
I think I think it's cool. Like, we obviously met for a reason. So
it was super cool because I remember I was kind of in a bit of down and outs actually when I met you guys. Not that I probably really projected that, but I had just gone through like a big cleansing of friendships and old relationships and image and like, who am I? And then met you. It was instant connection. Went to a couple shows, fell in love with the music, actually brought me back to my origin story, brought me back to my roots. And when I started hanging out with you, it felt like I was home. And it was just like resonated. And it was a part of myself that I forgot all about, that needed love and nourishment, you know, that hip hop, the old school, the talking about rawness and just being real and having jokes. Like, it wasn't rawness. Raw dogness.
I said rawness.
But yeah, it was just like immediately transported. And then you invited us to your special family Friendsmas dinner, and then met the whole crew, and it was instantly loving, instantly receiving, and it was just absolutely incredible.
That's how his orgies usually are.
It was just really incredible to, when you're older, to find a group of friends, an entire group of friends, not just one, not just two, but like 10, and be instantly received, be instantly loved in a time when I felt you know, very lonely and down on myself. So it was just it was really amazing. So thank you
Well,
for including me.
Of course, and that's
Yeah.
the thing about our family is like we don't have any people that are like super ultra messy anymore because we're past that. We can't like I don't babysit anymore, so like all of our people are super nice, loving. There's no like douchey people that
Yeah,
get super
they're
drunk
putting an
and wanna
effort in
fight
to turn the
everyone.
corner. They've turned the corner.
Right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no violent people that want to fight or be
Right,
angry or
right.
steal. Like it's just all like we're all the same kind of people, and
Yeah.
your vibe attracts your tribe. So like you were instantly magnetized to us because we're like, yeah, she's one of us. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
I concur.
I
I
concur.
felt the same.
It was so refreshing. I didn't think I could ever actually really feel like that again because people always say, you know, it gets harder to meet friends as you get older. The fact that you guys met at baseball is
Yeah.
actually really cool too, right? And shows the importance of getting out there and going to events
Yeah,
and having
definitely.
hobbies,
Yeah.
right? Because that's where you're gonna meet
True.
your
The
like-minded
places
people.
that you least expect. I was just going to play baseball, not meet friends, you know, necessarily.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, you have such a busy life. My life is kind of boring. I don't really do anything." And I always encourage them like, find a hobby. Like,
Yeah.
go and join like a team of some sort. Not only does it make you feel better because you're part of something and you're getting that jersey on, but you're also getting out and meeting new people.
Yeah, I've heard that before where it's like somebody gave that advice where they'll just like follow whatever you find yourself loving and being passionate about, just pursue that because through that pursuit, it opens up the doors to all these other, you know, opportunities, meeting lifelong friends,
Yeah.
finding people like-minded, resonating with certain people. But follow whatever it is you love and whatever gets your attention. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Right.
that's a good lesson
Music
for us.
festivals. That's why.
Yeah,
That's
even
how I
things
do
that are
it.
daunting and stuff. But if you love it, you just go for it. You know, you never know who you'll meet or what opportunity will present itself in those moments. You know.
Facts. And
Yeah.
we've made some of the best music, I don't know, in my career together. So
Yeah,
if we didn't meet, it would
totally.
have been a totally different trajectory for both of us, you know?
All those times in the studio with Rob the Viking and stuff, just like hours and hours and writing and some great times for sure, memorable moments with our kids there, sleeping on the couch and just like bored out of their mind, waiting. But it was great.
But then it transitions into my son now writing his own
totally.
music on his own. I don't even have to push him to do it. He's just like, Dad, I'm working on this song.
Yeah.
I have this beat. This is my idea and my concept, and I want to have an album out by the end of the year. Little
really
did we
inspired
know
him.
we were planting those seeds just by
Right.
having them there.
Right.
Right.
And
You know
him
what I mean?
watching us and being like, oh yeah, drawing from each of us and from what he's seeing. Yeah.
And how excited he was to show you when you got there today.
know.
Uncle Ronnie, let me show you what I'm working
Yeah,
on, right?
yeah. Seeing that passion in him is, that makes me feel different. It's just like watching him as a little kid, carrying him out to your car, you know, after sleepovers as a little kid with his thumb in his mouth, to now he's standing there like passionately debating with me over Kendrick over Drake and like what he loves about music and like how he's focused on his writing and he wants to tell a story and it's not just like surface shit. It's like really, it makes me feel old, but it also makes me feel like, fuck yeah, like the little things we do in life you never know who it's inspiring, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well, speaking of old stories, Ron, why don't you tell us?
yeah, the oldest of old tales. I shall
He's
begin.
really old, actually. He's 2 days older.
fourscore and 7 years ago.
Back when I had luxurious long locks of hair.
Yeah, uncover your mic, Matt.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Ontario, a bunch of little towns all over Ontario, mostly Ottawa and Toronto.
I just wanted to.
Single mom, and lots of poverty and violence and drugs and all that good stuff, that old chestnut. And then, we moved a lot. I went to like 12 different elementary schools. And then I met my ex-wife. We were together. She had a 1-year-old. I was 19. She was 18. And we started a family. We had 2 other boys. So I have 3 boys total now, 24, 21, and 16. So they're grown. They're big ass boys. They're all bigger than me. So anyways, so since the time I was 19, we were together for 21 years. We recently separated a few years ago. But we decided when my mom got sick and went in a coma back in Ontario. And she came out of the coma. I went on some crazy Taoist spiritual pursuit. It was very eye-opening. My mom woke up from the coma, moved to Nanaimo to be with her sister, and then she got sick again, so I came out to visit her, and I just by chance met my biological dad, who I never met or knew in my whole life. So met him when I came to visit my mom, who was dying again, and she passed away. And my dad said, like, bring your family, bring your little family out west, and move here, and we could start something. And I did, and I lost my mom, but I gained my father, who I never had my entire life. So she left me another gift there, and my boys have grown up here so far, and then meeting new friends, making lots of music. It was where I was meant to be, and not end up, but be here for this time, and the people I've met, and the goals I've obtained while being here, personally, spiritually, musically, family, socially, all those goals I've been checking boxes. This is a big part of it. This platform, to be able to speak to as many people as we can and share what Tatiana was attesting to, and just the realness. We got surreal here, but it's true. Just to attest to that realness and to be able to work through things and understand we all come from the same place. So we're here now, and we have this platform, and you already know how I met Matt. Baseball, him being a bit arrogant and talking a lot, me being arrogant.
Wasn't that a part of his
And then-
charm, though?
Yeah.
It made you drawn to him.
It did, totally. and then actually we were gonna start a podcast called The Power of Three, like Matt touched on. And he's like, well, we have this other person who wants to do it, but we have our T3 member, the guy who was going to do it with us originally. But like Matt said, it's just circumstances and timing and things that are meant to be. And when I did meet Tatiana, we had like a long ass conversation about all these kind of lore talks and spirituality and what certain things mean to us. And we just kind of connected instantly. I think we talked for like 2 hours. We were at a battle rap event back at the hotel, and we were just talking, and I knew right there, like, she was special. She's like a wealth of knowledge. She's very ambitious. She's very down to earth. She's very caring. Her family invited us in. Like, we sleep at their house. Her family's very welcoming, and her family's very real and down to earth. Yeah. So it was definitely a meant to be kind of scenario, and fucking we all clicked together with the power of three, which brings us here to this opportunity to share and discuss and touch on topics as we move forward. So super fucking mega blessings, super grateful to be here and share this with you guys.
Yeah. I forgot to mention my 4 kids. Austin asked me to do a shout out to him specifically.
Way to
today.
go,
So,
neglector.
yeah, right. Oh, and my husband, but 4 children, whatever. So yeah, also 4 kids. That was kind of a piece of the origin story.
Yeah.
And so the business, I had the power of 3, had it for 10 years.
4 kids, like, she'd be fucking y'all.
Wow.
Right? And then after the 3rd one, the power of 3, I had to choose between my basically properly caring for my family or my career.
Right.
And that's right round when I found, just a little bit after that was when I found you guys, and that's why I was in that really dark, lonely place, because having an entrepreneurial spirit from as long as I can remember, it feels very daunting sometimes to be in the house, 4 kids, but I definitely think I'm providing them an authentic experience. Do I think I'm a perfect mom? No. But do I think that kids need a perfect mom? No. So it's been really cool. It's been a journey. Just had another one. My littlest one is 3 months old, so.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Her middle name's Surreal.
That's awesome.
That's the best. That's super cool. Super honored.
So,
I think that kids need an authentic experience, as opposed to just like kids that live in like a home where they're just given everything, or
Right.
they're not shown the reality.
Or they're
of
sheltered
things.
from
They're
things,
sheltered.
yeah.
When they get into the real world where we are, or even
Right.
when you're 20, 25 years old, they don't really know much, and anything can happen to them. They could be taken advantage of. They could be manipulated. They can be ripped off, stolen from, if they don't know the ropes. You know what I mean? Like my son, we were driving by some of his friends from elementary school, and I was like, yo, why didn't you wave at your friends? And he's like, I'm not friends with those guys anymore. And I was like, why? And he's like, because they all do drugs and lean and Xan and stuff, and I'm not going down that road because I know you've shown me what you've been through.
Right.
And I don't want that to happen. Like, I don't want to get into that life.
That's our story,
because
too.
I've never sheltered him from
Right.
that, though.
Right.
I used to take him to his
Right.
grandma's house and be like, this is where I used to live when I was a kid. Like, it still triggers me. So this is what I want you to see. And, like, I never hid from him the fact that my brother died by suicide or that
Right.
my dad had alcohol issues. You know what I mean? So he knows the things that can happen if you go down that road. So I think if we shelter our kids too much and don't show them that reality, they have a real big chance of falling into that themselves because we just shelter them from it. Be like, no, everything's good over here.
Right,
Like,
right.
it's totally fine. You're never going to have any trouble. And then when they fall into trouble, they're not ready for it at all. So if you, like, can show them a little bit without obviously entrenching them in that and neglecting your kids,
Right.
then you can kind of teach them the ropes of, like, how to navigate that a little bit better without having to live that experience themselves. And I think we're all cycle breakers. You know what I mean?
Right,
We're all
yes.
here to make sure that our
100%.
kids don't have to live the way that we lived without sheltering them or helicopter parenting them too much or protecting them. We can kind of show them the way. And I am a little bit afraid that this might be the last generation of people that are doing this, right? We grew up in the 80s
Potentially,
and
yeah.
90s
Yeah.
where we saw that shit, we saw that strife, you know? Like, for instance, I was neglected for a long time before the ministry stepped in, and even when they tried to step in, my mom would, like, put up this protected shield so they wouldn't be able to take us away. And nowadays, like, you can get taken away for yelling at your kids, you know what I mean? Your kid will be like, I got the ministry on speed dial,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, yeah, we got your kid. But, like, back in the 80s, it was like you literally had to prove that the kid was being neglected to get taken away. So it was like, so now it's like we might be the last generation of these cycle breakers that are really, like, taking that shitty experience and turning it into a positive one for our kids.
The hardships build you, right?
They
Like,
do.
if you could think about the hardest job you've had when you were younger and how you're grateful you actually endured that hardship job so you could talk about it now, be like, that helped build my character. It taught me, like, how low it could be and how much I'd have to scrape for so minimal. And now look where I am. I can appreciate where I am. Also, it's like, I notice raising my boys, if you don't let them see hardships and stuff like that, then some of these young people will start to create their own hardships in order to have their own story.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have these
I
young
notice
people,
it.
like
Yes.
14, 15, earlier even, but
12.
12, 13, 14, 15. But their parents are doing everything they can to shelter them. Not necessarily shelter, but change the way they grew up.
Right.
So they want to keep them safe. They want to keep them away from harm. But what happens is now that child needs to experience and be exposed to
Chaos.
harm and
Right.
chaos
Right.
so they could be stronger and resilient. And it's so twisted, you know, because your intention is to keep them safe. But actually, no, they need to be in a chaotic environment in a sense with their tribe with them to
Right.
protect them. But they need to exposure to negative stuff so they can know how to handle it and deal with it. And what happens is when these young people don't get that exposure, they seek it out
rebel.
themselves.
Right.
They say they become entrenched in drugs because they want to know what it's like to have hardship, you know? So it's like mistakes and falling and hardship is all so fucking important.
Scraping the knees.
Yeah, all that. I remember when my boys, like, were younger and learning to walk and stuff, I'd almost be like, they'd try to get up on steps and balance on shit, and I'd be like, I want them to fall in a way because I'm here to coddle them and make sure they're okay afterwards and let them know, like, oh, you tried, you know, you're okay, get up. But it's exciting to watch them fall because the more times you fall, the stronger you are and the more you learn how to not fall.
And get up.
And get up, yeah. The point is to get up, but you're supposed to fall over and over and over so that you eventually learn how to not fall. And it's better to do that in a safe place, you know?
Well, what happens if they find acceptance in the falling? So, like, for example, my son, he's injured his hand a few times doing crazy things, different things, and you know, so now he's injured. So he went out there, he was living his best life, and then fell. But then it's like he almost finds peace in, like, the recluse, and not in the
Then let them.
not in the trying harder. But like so when you say we're the last generation, like, I feel like it's almost already too late for.
It feels like it's on the the cusp of that.
Yeah, like I feel like mine are just already.
But you know what? I
It's
have faith in
easy.
that, Tatiana, because, like, honestly, don't sit still. Like, you're so ambitious and like busy-bodied that he's gonna sit there and lay back and then be like, I'm missing out on the world. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he's gonna realize.
Let him get sick of it.
Yeah.
Let him
Right.
do it until he's sick of it, and then he'll be like, "Oh shit! Like my mom's doing all this stuff. My
So
other
stressful.
brother, look at it. You know."
Yeah.
I think the more exposure he has to that and missing out, then he'll get over it. So like, yeah, have fun, buddy, laying there doing nothing. You know, like we're going to do this.
Right.
So hopefully you join us when you're ready, and then I think he'll get sick of it eventually, if he sees other examples. You know.
Right.
I think that there's more to entertain people when they're on the lam too now than there used to be. Like back in the day when I hurt myself, it's like, okay, you're sitting in your room. How many books can you read?
Right.
Like how many times can you try that same level on Nintendo One
Right,
before you
right.
get frustrated
Yeah.
and turn it off?
Fair.
And now I've got to go figure out my life and go outside. Whereas now, like you have YouTube, the internet, you have
right.
Snapchat, you have
The Tpot
video games,
podcast.
you have 3 different.
Catering to them.
Right, you can watch the Tpot podcast. You can binge watch us. But it's just like there's just so many things that cater to kids not being bored anymore. Whereas it's like, go to your room. Haha, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have so many things I can do in my room now. But then it's like, go to your room. I'm going to shut off the internet and take your phone. Well, now
Yeah.
that's an actual
That's way
punishment. 'cause
different.
It's
That's what
like,
I
oh
just did.
shit.
Well, my
Yesterday.
my stepdad used to be like, lay in your bed. It's like 2:30 in the afternoon, 3 right after
Right.
school. You're grounded for the week. Go lay in your bed. No books, no nothing. You can't draw. Lay in your bed. It's like,
Can't
oh my
draw.
god,
That's prison.
that was
That's-
rough. That was prison. I remember whistling. You'd be like, don't fucking whistle in this house. It's like, you know, you get beat up in jail if you whistle. I was like, I'm not in jail, bro. It's like, I love my life. I'm whistling. Too bad.
I did one time because you can't beat your kids anymore. Not that I ever did, but I think about it sometimes. Anyway,
Little do you know. No, I'm just kidding.
But I was so mad at Austin again, surprise, that I literally moved all the furniture out of his room, like Hulk Mom, moved it all out, like dresser, clothes, threw it all into the playroom in a giant pile, put his mattress on the floor, and I said, "Here, this is what jail feels like, and this is where you're going if you don't smarten up."
Nice.
Huh?
Yeah.
It was pretty
good, yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, that's good.
So-
Exposure.
I was thinking about this the other day. I told my mom, I think I was like 4 years old. I'm like, I'm running away from home. I'm sick of this. And she goes, okay, fine. Yeah, you can leave home with everything that you own. So now I'm sitting at the end of the driveway in a diaper, no clothes, nothing, because she owned it all. Now that's child abuse for sure.
Right.
But like I sat out there till it got dark, bro. Like I was
Oh.
writing about this the other
In
day
a
for my
diaper
book.
still?
In a diaper.
That
I was
started
probably
young.
out there for 4 hours.
You were 4 in a diaper?
Yeah.
4 in a diaper.
Times were different back then.
3 maybe.
Back in the 60s, times
Maybe I
were
wasn't
way
in a
different.
diaper. I don't know. I just
Yeah,
picture
yeah.
myself-
But it was a long
I
yeah.
probably wasn't in a diaper, but I just picture myself in a diaper. But
Right.
I guess 4 is pretty old for a diaper. Now that I think about it, but
Probably like 6 or
Maybe
7
the
or
neglect
something like that.
continues.
no. I was definitely like in the 4 to 5 age range. But I think I always picture myself with like the stick with the little
Yeah.
hobo
Right,
sack on
yes,
it. You know what I
yes.
mean? Like just out there like crying, like I don't own anything. Like
Yeah.
my mom owns it all. And then I was wondering why the ministry kept coming by and trying to take us. But like I just realized in that moment that like I really didn't own anything. So it kind of gave me a little bit of a lesson, like as cruel as it was. I was like, you know, one day I'm going to buy all my own stuff so no one can take that away from me. And no one can say you don't own anything.
Fair, yeah.
So now I like make sure that when I buy something, I pay it off, or like, you know,
Right.
it instilled that
That's
in me that like I
interesting.
have to own this because
Right,
no one
right.
can take it. But it's funny still because my son will be like, you can't close my window. That's my window. And I'm like, actually,
Yeah.
like, if you want to start paying rent,
Right,
it could be
right.
like a percentage of your window. But considering it's my window,
Yeah, reality,
close
bro.
the window. Like, you know, so
Love it.
it's still carrying on.
They're so froggy at this age. They're so outspoken and like entitled. It's funny.
yeah.
Is it?
Oh,
I
mine
don't
is
find it
Yours isn't
funny.
old
in
enough yet.
ways. In ways.
We don't have any. We don't
Oh,
have
right.
Any yet.
I also forgot to mention that we're doing a giveaway at the
Yeah,
end
we
of
are.
this live.
We sure are.
Ta-da! So this is a fun wellness bag. It's got some goodies in it. And what we need from you, it's got incense and bath salts and facial toner
Facial
and
toner.
sage. What we need from you is to comment what your favorite thing or the thing you resonated the most with so far in this episode, and then share our live stream. And then we will announce the winner at the end. Do we know how long we've been on here?
Yeah. What's that? Half an hour. Nice. Shout out to our behind the scenes crew. This is our initial episode. We
Yeah.
got to give a shout out to our behind the scenes crew. We got Angela,
As
my
always.
assistant in the background. We've got
Cody and Ranger.
Craig.
Gary Ranger doing, what did they call it? Pressing? I don't know. Some
whose
audio.
studio are we in?
And we're in the Rainbow Waves studio. We have Dawn and Jeff, and
Yeah.
I think Cal is even back there. It's a whole
Shout out
crew.
to the whole crew. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
We have
progress.
to. It is definitely a thing, a production.
Yeah.
We want it to be as professional, but also kind of just like a loose conversation. But we want to make sure that it's done well. You know what I mean? And obviously, this is our first initial episode, so there's going to be some bugs to work out. But we really hope you guys can comment in the live and make your presence known. Ask questions if you want, so that we can answer them live, which is kind of cool. We could acknowledge you and just like maybe you could even influence the topics that we're touching on. You know, because
Yeah, eventually we'd like that.
our trajectory took a big different turn based on what we decided. You know what I mean? Ronnie could have stayed in Ottawa and been in a whole different life. You know, I know his family members were a lot like mine. They were a lot into crime and stuff like that. So we could be in a different position. You know, when my brother took his life, I made the decision to go have a son and change where I was headed, because I was not headed in a good place. So I think with that being said, you guys can affect the trajectory of our podcast just by mentioning things or talking in our chat. You know what I mean?
Things you'd like to see us discuss.
Yeah. So Rachel's talking about the 80s and 90s kids. You had to have thick skin.
Robert said.
What got you into hip hop, and who were your influences?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a good question.
yeah.
So what got me into hip hop? Obviously, I used to write a lot when I was younger, but it was always like, you know, who we had for an influence was Vanilla Ice. You know what I mean? So it was just like, you know, as a Caucasian individual, I didn't think I should ever rap. I just kind of wrote these poems and stuff. Rob the Viking and Swollen Members were kind of a thing when I was younger. But once Eminem came out, I just was like, I would just listen to every song religiously and just was like, hey, maybe one day I could rap, you know, and I started writing my own stuff. I went to New York to be on a TV show. We can talk about that later. But I ended up writing my first rap while I was in New York and brought it back and showed some of my friends, and they were like, you should do this. And I didn't really take it seriously. And then I went to work one day, and one of my friends showed me a song that he had made, and he played me the song, and I was like, yo, this is really dope. Who is this? And he's like, that's me. We recorded that yesterday at my brother's studio. And I was like, whoa, okay. So I was there the next day at like 7 a.m., you know, wrote 3-4 tracks that day. They went in the garbage. Thankfully, no one will ever hear them. But yeah, I just started taking it seriously, more serious. It was still a hobby to me. And then I used to show my brother my songs, and he just was like, would burn the songs onto CDs and hand them out to people, and was like, dude, one day you're going to be really influential and really good and like help people. And I just was like, I didn't really think anything of it. And then when he passed away, I didn't have any money. Like, came from a welfare family, you know. We came from a really poor family. So I basically put together 3 hip-hop shows with my homie John Z in Nanaimo in 3 days. We raised $8,000 for his funeral with those shows. And I realized, you know, the power of community. I had people come up to me and put money in the jar that had no business being at that hip-hop show. They were just there to kind of help. And so I decided on that day 2 things: that I was going to help give back to community, and that I was also going to start taking my music just as seriously as my brother did, because if he believed in me, I should believe in myself. So those are the biggest influences on me to make music.
Yeah, me, I remember growing up in Toronto, early 80s, listening to fucking Big Daddy Kane and Ice-T.
Yeah.
Those were that was the start of hip hop for me.
Right
Big
on.
Daddy Kane and Ice-T.
Right on.
And then like Young MC
Yeah.
and blah, blah, blah. But I never ever dreamt of getting into writing or hip hop until I remember writing Mother's Day cards for my mom. And I guess the Big Daddy Kane, Young MC is just like poetry. I know what this is, you know.
Right.
And then at the time I was reading this book called Animalia. I was like super young, like fucking 6 or something, I don't know. But this book, it was like 11 elephants eloquently elevating elevator music or some shit. And it would be a page with all these elephants with monocles or something.
Right.
Each page was something different, you know.
Right.
I was like, ooh, I love that, like alliteration, you know.
Alliteration, yeah.
And so I'd start writing Mother's Day cards for my mom. And then when Maestro came out, and I was in elementary school, and he had like "Let your backbone slide,
Right.
let it slip, let the rhythm rip,
Godfather
while the
Canadian
lyrics
hip-hop.
leave my," and he was like performing for the Prime Minister, and I was like, "Yo, like I love this," but I never thought anything of it. And then in Ottawa, I think I was like 18. My buddy and I started getting together. I think he showed me some of the rhymes he was making, him and his buddy, on this like cassette player and recording it on cassettes, and I started joining in with them and just coming up with shit off the top, and it was fun as fuck. And I was like, every day I started thinking of rhymes. And then I never even heard of Eminem, and he's like, yo, you have to check out this Slim Shady LP, right? And I listened to it, and it was like, this is lyrical combat. Gentlemen, hold your pistols while I translate, form like Voltron, blast you with my shoulder missiles. Slim Shady, Eminem was the old, yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, boom. And I was like, that means I could kind of do this, like, you know, I could actually
Gave us permission.
gave me permission in a way, yeah.
Yes.
Even though I was doing it with my buddies and stuff, I was still like, no, this is like validating what I love, you know, and I could show it. So that's when I started writing.
Nice.
And then, yeah.
How did you get into hip hop?
I am a fangirl, so I will be honest. But it was definitely Eminem. Eminem was the door opener. That's probably because I'm a little bit younger than you guys, so that would have been the first one that I listened to.
Quite a bit younger.
Quite a bit younger. And yeah, I just loved Eminem because it was freeing.
Yeah.
Like it was raw.
Yep.
It was real. It was angry, and that's how
Silly.
I felt.
Yeah.
And it was finally time. Like I never liked Britney Spears. I wasn't into Christina Aguilera. Like
Right.
I would never liked any of that music. And so when Eminem came out, it was just like it set me free. And then of course the fashion came with that, the hip hop fashion that came with that, and then
Oh, right.
sort of the area of town that I lived in, it was very much a part of the culture to like embrace that. And so it just, you know, it felt like I was a part of something. And like,
Right.
so same when I met you guys, it was that same feeling of that bringing home and being a part of something, and that ability and freedom to be raw. So, and I just, yeah, I love going to a show because for me that is wellness. 3 hours, just super loud music, no thoughts, no anxiety, no worrying, just like clear mind. And so I enjoy following you around and listening to all your super cool things that you say.
We appreciate it.
Well, and that goes back to human nature because we're herd creatures, right? We like to feel like we belong to something, right? Whether it be a baseball team or whether it be a group of family members or whether it be like, I like this music and now I've found like-minded people, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's what we really want to touch on this podcast is just like the mental health aspect, how this whole thing can make us feel better. We're going to be breaking down songs that we've created. We're going to be talking about current events. We're going to be talking about mental health topics that mean a lot to us and mean a lot to our viewers as well.
Some current event stuff.
Yeah, current events. And we want you guys to, you know, maintain the audience. Like, follow us on all the social media. We're going to be starting a Tpot podcast Facebook. We've got a Tpot podcast YouTube. So please make sure you share this live out. This is our first episode, so we wanted to stream it live. We will be dropping other episodes. I'm off on a little vacation, so we're going to have a couple episodes as well while I'm off, and just continue to support us, guys. Make sure you follow us, keep the traffic going. I really want to just thank Tatiana for helping kickstart the fire under this, because me and Rev had this on our minds for a long time, but we kind of put it on the back burner, and she was able to help us steep it, you know, put both bags in, heat up the kettle, plug it in, really get the kettle whistling, you know, and didn't stop like kind of prodding us until we
Steeped in friendship.
put the
bro.
honey in there.
Steeped in
You know what I mean?
friendship,
We're
that's the title.
now we're deeply steeped in friendship.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, thank you all for joining us. We look forward to sharing all these new topics and discussing things with you.
yeah,
So, should we pick our winner?
yeah, we should. Yeah.
Angela, do you want to pick our winner?
So basically, guys, keep an eye on the socials. We have our Tpot podcast YouTube that we're going to be posting a link to. Please follow that and subscribe for now, and then you can catch us on the next podcast. So go ahead.
Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel
Rachel.
Sabal?
Rachel Sapala.
Sapala.
Rachel Sapala.
So you'll have to maybe PM Matt.
Yeah, she lives
and-
in my city. So
And then give him your address and.
congratulations to Rachel
Awesome.
Sapala for being our first winner.
Yeah, so whenever we do our lives, we're always going to be doing a giveaway. Might be wellness, might be merch. We don't know yet, but yeah.
It's always going to be something cool.
Yeah.
And I want to give a big shout out to our host for this episode. As gentlemen, we were raised by our moms. We wanted to make sure that we had the lady host the first episode. And of course, we're going to have Rev Ron host the next one, and then I will host the third one. So just a big shout out to you guys for taking this time out of your day to come and hang out with me. I appreciate
thank
you.
you.
Yeah, likewise.
And of course, to our crew in the background.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody at home, for watching this. Anybody who's streaming this or checks in after we post the live, we love you guys. We truly appreciate you. And the power of 3 is here to stay. I hope you guys tune in again. All right?
Awesome.
Good.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Cheers.
Looks just like Henny. I didn't even know.